The average retirement savings by age. So let me ask you something uncomfortable. If I walked up to you right now and said, "Show me your retirement account balance," would you proudly pull out a number? Or would you suddenly need to use the bathroom for the next 5 years? Yeah, I thought so. Because here's the cold, hard truth. The average 30-year-old in America has less in retirement savings than a middle schooler's Pokemon card collection. And if you're older thinking you're safe, spoiler alert, you're probably still broke as heck. But don't panic yet. Today, we're breaking down the average retirement savings by age, and I'm going to show you exactly where you stand, why most people are screwed, and how you can avoid eating cat food during retirement while begging your grandkids to Venmo you for rent. Welcome to Peter Finance, where we talk money without the boring beige PowerPoint vibes of other finance gurus. You know the ones, those dudes sitting in front of a fake bookshelf, whispering about compound interest like it's some forbidden spell from Harry Potter. Nah, over here we keep it real, we keep it edgy, and we don't sugarcoat the numbers, because life already handed you a sugar-coated paycheck that can't cover rent. So hit that subscribe button before your future self slaps you for ignoring this video. Like the video too, it's free, unlike your 401k match. Alright, picture this. You're 25, fresh out of college, you're making what, 45k a year if you're lucky. Half of it disappears to rent, Netflix, avocado toast, and student loans. Retirement savings? You got like $600 sitting in a Roth IRA, which is basically a nice emergency Taco Bell fund. Fast forward, you're 35. You finally start making decent money, but guess what? You've got daycare bills, a car payment for that SUV you didn't need, and a mortgage that feels like it's waterboarding your checking account. Retirement savings? Maybe $15,000, which the Bureau of Labor Statistics says won't even cover 1 year of average expenses in retirement. By 45, reality hits harder than your ex's breakup text. The kids are older, expenses are higher, and you realize retirement is not some distant boomer problem. It's your problem. And statistics back this up. According to the Federal Reserve's Survey of Consumer Finances, the median retirement savings for people ages 35 to 44 is only about $37,000. That's not even enough to retire in Mexico, let alone the US, where healthcare costs alone can eat that alive in 2 years. By the way, median means half the people have more, half have less. Translation, if you've got under 37K by your 40s, you're officially in broke as cook territory. Congrats, champ. But here's the thing. It's not your fault. The system is stacked against you. Wages haven't kept up with inflation, rent is higher than Snoop Dogg on a Saturday, and employers love dangling a 401k match like a carrot on a stick, while quietly making sure it vests after you already quit. Still, whining doesn't pay the bills, so today, we're going to pull apart the averages age by age, show you the math in plain English, and compare what average looks like versus what you actually need if you don't want to spend retirement working the 3 a.m. shift at Walmart, greeting people who make more in TikTok tips than you do. So grab a drink, grab your calculator, and let's roast the US retirement crisis together, while also building your plan to escape it. Because trust me, knowing these numbers will either motivate you or depress you so badly that you'll open a Roth IRA out of pure panic. Let's start with the basics. The average retirement savings for people in their 20s. All right, let's start with your 20s. You're probably fresh out of college, or maybe you skipped college and went straight into the workforce. Either way, you're making money for the first time, and most of it's gone before you even see it. According to the Federal Reserve, the median retirement savings for people under 35 is about $13,000. Sounds cute, right? Until you realize the average annual spending in retirement is around $50,000 according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. That means the average 20-something has enough saved to retire for about 3 months. Not 3 years, 3 freaking months. Let's do some math. $13,000 divided by $50,000 equals 0.26. That's 26% of 1 year of retirement. Congrats! You can almost make it through a single season of The Bachelor before going broke. But hey, cut yourself some slack. You're in your 20s. The point isn't having a ton saved yet. It's building the habit. Because the earlier you start, the less you need to save later. Thanks to compound interest, money you put in at 25 grows way harder than money you dump in at 45. For example, invest $200 a month starting at 25. Assume a 7% average annual return, which is what the S&P 500 has historically done long term. By 65, you'd have around $500,000. Now, if you waited until 35 to start, you'd only have about $250,000. That's half the money just because you wasted 10 years pretending retirement is future me's problem. So yeah, your 20s are broke years, but they're also golden years for building momentum. Don't be Netflix Nick spending $200 a month on streaming you don't watch. Be investing Ingrid, stacking $200 into an index fund every month and letting compound interest cook. Now let's roast the 30s, because this is where things get ugly. According to the Federal Reserve, the median retirement savings for ages 35 to 44 is about $37,000. Okay, $37K sounds better than $13K until you realize that by 40, you should have 3 times your annual salary saved if you're on track for a decent retirement. That's according to Fidelity's retirement guidelines. So if you're making $60,000 a year, you should have $180,000 saved by 40. Instead, the average person has $37K. That's not even the 1 year of retirement expenses. That's a sad joke. Let's math it out. $37,000 divided by $50,000 equals 0.74. That's not even a full year of retirement. You're 40 years old and your future retirement self is already sending hate mail. Why does this happen? Simple. Because your 30s are the decade of expensive mistakes. You buy a house you can barely afford. You finance a $50K car because safety for the kids. You spent $1,200 a month on daycare that costs more than your mortgage. Retirement savings? It's shoved to the back of the line like the quiet kid in gym class. But here's the kicker. This is the make or break decade. If you don't get serious now, you're screwed later. So let's set a baseline. If you're in your 30s making $70,000 a year, your goal should be to save at least 15% of your income. That's $10,500 a year, or about $875 a month. If you actually stick to that, at 35, starting from zero and investing $875 a month with a 7% return, by 65, you'd have around $1.1 million. Millionaire status, baby. Not bad for someone who once DoorDashed Taco Bell at 2 a.m. while crying about student loans. But the sad truth is, most people don't do it. They stay average Andy, sitting on $37K at 40 and convincing themselves Social Security will save them. Spoiler, it won't. All right, so you've made it to your 40s. Congrats. You survived Y2K, 4 different iPhones, and your kids drawing on the wall with peanut butter. But financially, you're probably sweating bullets. Here's the cold stat. According to the Federal Reserve, the median retirement savings for people aged 45 to 54 is about $82,000. Now, $82K might sound decent at first glance, until you realize you're halfway to retirement age. And $82K in retirement savings is like showing up to a potluck at mile 13 with flip-flops and a hangover. You're not prepared. Let's break it down. Retirement lasts, on average, 20 years. Average expenses, $50,000. Total needed, $1 million. Now, 82K divided by $1 million equals 0.082. That's 8% of what you'll need. Imagine showing up to a potluck with 8% of a pizza. People would rightfully call you a clown. And look, I get it. Your 40s are brutal. You're juggling kids, mortgages, braces, car insurance, maybe even taking care of aging parents. You're basically the human version of a low battery warning. But this is also the decade of catching up. Fidelity's benchmark says by age 45, you should have 4 times your annual salary saved. So if you make $80,000, that's $320,000. Instead, the average person has $82K. That's like aiming for the NBA and barely making the high school JV team. Here's the hopeful math though. Let's say at 45 you decide, screw this, I'm going all in. You save $1,500 a month, that's $18K a year. Invest it with a 7% return. By 65, you'd still end up with about $740,000. Not millionaire status, but still way better than rolling into retirement with less cash than a busted vending machine. So yeah, your 40s are tough, but this is the time to ditch the luxury SUV you can't afford, stop upgrading to the newest iPhone like your life depends on it, and throw every spare dollar into your retirement accounts. Future you will thank you while sipping pina coladas instead of Dollar Tree soda. Now let's talk about the 50s. This is where things get really serious. You're not saving for retirement anymore. You're basically in the pre-game lobby for retirement. And here's the ugly stat. The median retirement savings for people aged 55 to 64 is around $134,000. $134K. That's it. That's the average. That's not even 3 years of retirement expenses. Imagine working for 40 years and ending up with enough savings to last as long as a Netflix subscription before you cancel it out of guilt. Now, Fidelity says by 55, you should have 7 times your annual salary saved. If you make $80,000 a year, that means $560,000. Instead, the average American has $134K. That's not even close. It's a participation trophy. Let's put it in real-life terms. You're 55 with $134K. You plan to retire at 67. That gives you 12 years left to save. If you start maxing out your 401k, let's say $23,000 a year, which is the 2024 limit for people over 50 with the catch-up contribution, and your investments grow at 7%, you could still walk away with around $600,000 by 67. So yes, even if you're behind, you can still recover if you get serious and stop living like a clown. Your 50s are not the time to be financing boats, buying timeshares, or blowing cash on midlife crisis toys. Sorry, sports car Steve, but your shiny red Corvette doesn't hide the fact that your retirement account is emptier than a Walmart shelf on Black Friday. Instead, your 50s should be about maximizing contributions. You've probably got the highest income of your career, the kids might be leaving the nest, and you actually have a shot to stockpile money fast. So here's the motivational punch. If you're in your 50s and behind, it's not game over. It's overtime. And overtime is where legends are made, or where broke uncles are born. All right, welcome to your 60s. This is where things get really serious. You're not saving for retirement anymore. You're basically in the pre-game lobby for retirement. And here's the ugly stat. The median retirement savings for people aged 65 to 74 is only around $264,000, according to the Federal Reserve. Sounds bigger, right? Until you realize this isn't even 6 years of expenses if you retire at 65. Average annual spending, $50,000. 264K divided by 50K equals 5.28 years. Yep, you'll be scraping by before Medicare even kicks in fully. And guess what? Social Security isn't the magical retirement fairy most people think it is. According to the Social Security Administration, the average monthly benefit for a retired worker is about $1,827. That's $21,924 a year. Combine that with 264K in savings. 264K divided by 50K equals 5.3 years of expenses from savings. Social Security adds $21,924 per year. Your retirement income is technically $21,924 plus your savings divided over expected retirement years. If you live to 85, 20-year retirement, that's about $13,200 per year from your 264K. Add $21,924 from Social Security equals $35,124 per year. Congratulations, almost retiree Andy. You're still $15K short per year to live comfortably on the average US expenses. That's right. You're going to have to cut out vacations, eat fewer avocados, and probably start bartering skills on Fiverr. Now, let's put in perspective with a clean, savage comparison. Age group, median savings, smart investor goal, reality check. 25, $13,000, $0.5 million by 65. Almost nothing, still in Taco Bell fun mode. 35, $37,000, $1.1 million by 65. Behind, kids, mortgage, lifestyle catching up. 45, $82,000, $1.2 million plus by 65. Barely started serious saving, future self screaming. 55, $134,000, $1.4 million plus by 65. Crunch time, still behind but can recover if you're serious. 65, $264,000. 1.5 million plus by 65. Social Security covers part, still a big gap if you weren't disciplined. See the pattern up? Average people are consistently behind. Smart investors, even starting late, can recover if they max out contributions, invest in index funds, and stop living like clowns. Now, don't get depressed. Knowledge is power. And here's the kicker. It's never too late to start. Your 20s? Perfect decade to build the habit. Your 30s? Time to wake the F up. Your 40s? Catch up or get comfortable being average Andy. Your 50s? Crunch time. Every extra dollar matters. Your 60s? Max out. Delay Social Security if you can, and don't cry about the past. Fix the future. Even if you start at 50, maxing out contributions with catch-up limits and investing smartly can still get you $600K plus by 65, enough to avoid living like a broke. Here's the reality. Compound interest is like magic, but it needs time. The earlier you start, the easier it is. The later you start, the more painful it gets. And trust me, nothing hurts more than realizing your future self is broke AF because past you was a spending Chad. Save 15% of income for retirement. No excuses, no next month. Max out your 401k plus Roth IRA. Catch up contributions if you're 50 plus. Invest in index funds, not memes. Sorry, crypto bros. Buy the S&P 500 instead of Dogecoin. Delay Social Security if possible. Each year you delay adds around 8% to your benefit. 5. Cut unnecessary expenses. Yes, that includes your daily $6 latte. 6. Track your progress. If you don't know your numbers, you're flying blind. Do this consistently, and even if you're average Andy now, you can become savvy Sarah by retirement. Let's be real. Most people will ignore these stats. They'll binge watch TikTok, argue about politics, and act like retirement is a myth created by Boomer Karen. But you're here. You're watching. You're learning. That means you're already ahead of 70% of Americans who have less than $50,000 saved at age 50. You're not average Andy. You're potentially rich Peter. So let's make a promise. Stop blaming the system. Start saving aggressively. Maximize investments. And for God's sake, stop spending like a poor Chad. Do this, and your 65-year-old self will be sipping a margarita on a beach while average Andy is trying to sell Beanie Babies on eBay to pay the electricity bill. If you've learned something today, hit like, subscribe, and smash that bell because your future self is begging you to take this seriously. Comment down below your age and how much you've saved. Let's see who's average Andy and who's about to become savvy Sarah. Remember, retirement isn't optional. It's mandatory. And the earlier you start, the easier it gets. So don't wait. Don't scroll. Don't procrastinate. Start now. Your future self and your sanity will thank you.